Hi everyone, and welcome to my little chatty, sassy corner here on YouTube where I talk about the wonderful world of luxury. And today I am sort of going to be doing a bit of a follow-up to my last video where I talked about luxury goods that I'd fallen a bit out of love with. Well, what do you do with those luxury goods when you no longer want them? And so this video is going to be all about selling your luxury goods on, not the resale game, but rather focusing on what you do with your own personal pre-loved items. So there are really three routes that we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of each. So with that, let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the consignor route. So some of the good things about going through a consignor route is that you reduce a lot of the risk to you because they're the ones who are going to be doing the marketing. Now, most consignors will take typically between about 30 to 50%. The consignors that I use, Agora Vintage, she takes 30. The luxury label will take between 30 to 60%, just depending on the item and how much that they can get for it. Now, that being said, because they are taking a percentage out, while they are able to get a much higher price than you can probably personally get for the item and do so much faster than you can probably sell the item, they are taking a percentage. So that means that you get less than what you might potentially be able to get if you are selling it on your own. But again, it sells so much faster. I sold a Louis Vuitton cosmetics pouch as well as a pair of new Chanel earrings that were my mother's to Agora Vintage, and the way that that worked is that I texted Ari, the owner of Pictures. She decided how much that she thought that the item could sell for, letting us know that after her 30% cut, what our portion would most likely be. I then asked her if she would be willing, given the nature of the items, to do a buyout. She said that she absolutely was, but of course that price is a little bit lower as she was assuming a lot more risk by buying the item, as opposed to if she had just had it on consignment and then if it didn't sell, sending it back to myself and my mother. Now, one of the risks that you do have with going to a consignor is that people will likely be handling the items. And so if that's something that concerns you, you might want to take that into consideration as opposed to just selling it yourself. But stores like Agora Vintage, stores like Luxury Label in Nashville, well, they are there. They make sure that the items are taken care of. They're not going to let someone just destroy your item. And this was a super fast way for my mother and I to immediately get the funds back from the items that we didn't want. Now, the second route to go is going with the big consigning websites, which are going to be RealReal, Fashionphile, and Rebag. Now, these are all really good sites. I've bought stuff from Fashionphile as well as from the RealReal. Well, I have a really close friend who has sold quite a few items to the RealReal and found it to be an extremely easy, streamlined process. I've gotten quotes from them, but ultimately gone different directions with selling my items. Now, the way that these sites work is that you send in pictures and information. They then send you back a quote for what you will be receiving as your portion of the item. And then you send it to them, they authenticate it, list it on the website, and depending on which site you're going with, they'll either send you the money when they get the item or they'll send you the money once it sells. Typically it is once it sells. That being said, because they have big international reaches and because they are able to sell items so quickly, they're going to charge you even more. You're going to get even less probably than if you went through a regular consignment store. By the way, make sure when you're going through a consignment store that it's a consignor that you trust. That's very, very important. Now, the third route to take is a route that I have used, and that's going to be what I call the direct buyer route, which that's going to be sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Facebook groups where you are interacting with potential buyers. They're interacting with you. That means that you can get some people who they're going to question you. They're going to question the authenticity of your item. You're going to get people who are going to lowball you. You are also going to have to market that item yourself. And all of this takes a lot of time it takes a lot of energy and it can be really, really stressful because you don't know if that item is going to be able to sell or not. You also don't know if the buyer is going to be a buyer who is a truthful person or not. There are plenty of scams out there. Some of the most popular are receiving an item as a buyer and then saying that it's a fake, sending you back a fake item. There's a scam out there, particularly when you are doing these very expensive sells, where they will get your information, they'll say that they have sent it to you, and then very shortly, within a minute or two, you'll receive an email from that payment app saying that, oh, we need to verify your account. Please send money to this account. We'll send it right back to you. And that way we're able to verify that you are able to receive funds. That is in no way true whatsoever. Do not do that. And do not send the item until you have full payment in your account. PayPal, Venmo, there's some others out there, they are not going to hold your money. That being said, I really do recommend selling with PayPal goods and services. That is what eBay uses. That is what the Facebook groups will require you to use. And while that does take a 4% fee when it comes to using it with Facebook groups, that gives you so much more protection against this kind of issue. The other thing that I recommend doing, video the item, showing everything that you possibly can about that item, and do one long continuous video when you get to the shipping destination. So whether that be a FedEx, a UPS, a USPS, a DHL store, take a full video of the item in there, shows a full no cut, you placing the item in there, how you package it, show you taping the box up, putting the label on, paying for it with the shipper, and then the shipper having possession of that item. That way you have complete proof. Also safe proof of all communication that you've had with the buyer. So that will help protect you a lot, but that being said, there's no guarantee when you are dealing with other people, just as you probably can't get as high of a price as the consignor stores can or as these big websites can, because of the fact that the buyer can't necessarily trust you. Even though you know that you're truthful, even though you know that your item is authentic, the buyer doesn't know you, and you need to keep that in mind, is that it is a risk for the buyer as well, particularly if you're a truthful seller and they are a truthful buyer. And I have sold a Louboutin clutch on Facebook group. I had to deal with plenty of people just trying to get the item for nothing, but I found the right buyer after a couple of months of having the item listed. I didn't lose any money. The buyer received it. She was super happy and carried it to her son's wedding. I also sold on Poshmark. Now, one thing to know about Poshmark and eBay, eBay takes 10% of your sale for you posting on their website. Same thing with Poshmark, they take 20%. So just keep that in mind when factoring in the price that you want to sell the item for. Now, that being said, with Poshmark, again, I had plenty of people who were lowballing me on a pair of new Jimmy Choo shoes, but the right buyer came along and we bartered a little bit, and then they bought the shoe for a price that both the buyer and myself were super comfortable with, and it was a very easy process through there. eBay gives you protection, and as a seller, Poshmark gives you protection as a seller. I have had a couple of dishonest buyers on some clothing things through Poshmark, but Poshmark, because I did the right things always sided in my favor. And so for any of these routes, just make sure that you are seriously weighing the risk as well as the reward for you personally. Is the biggest thing for you the amount of money that you get back, or is the biggest thing for you expediency? Is the biggest thing for you not having to worry about the hassle of selling it, the potential for scammers? Or is the biggest thing for you, like I said, making sure that you get that buck and making sure to get the most that you possibly can for the item that you're selling? And I personally think that this is really an item dependent and a person dependent decision. If you want to know more about my experiences, if you want to know my opinion on things, just pop a comment down below, because I really would love to interact with you guys. And I hope that you have really enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day, YouTube. Bye!